Hey everyone, and welcome back. So, what I wanted to first do today is take a brief walk down memory lane to put into context what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So, something that I don't really bring up very often here is my participation in an event called the Barkley Marathons. This is a foot race in the hills of Tennessee, and back in 2012, I participated in the event and ran. Now, it just so happens that that same year there was a documentary crew there filming the event, so I happened to get on film. And so for a few years there, it was kind of awkward because this film dropped on Netflix and on Amazon Prime and various other places, and people would recognize me in random places. So it was kind of weird. But with that said, what I wanted to talk about is not the event itself. There's plenty that you can read about it. You can watch the documentary if you're really interested. It is a wacky, wild thing. But what I want to talk about is actually related to the friends that I met while I was there and sort of where that has led to today. Because through my association with this event, I have made some incredible friends and connections with people that have really just lasted through the years and basically become essentially like a Barkley related family. And so, where I'm going with this is the reason I've been offline for about 10 days is because this past weekend I went to Virginia to run a 50-mile foot race in the mountains of Virginia. And the reason that I go to this specific event is because it's essentially a reunion every year of my friends that I've met through this race in Tennessee called the Barkley. So let me take you back to 2012 for a minute and kind of lead you into where we're going. So in the early part of 2012, I was at the peak of my training for the Barkley. I was doing all sorts of crazy hill repeats and running through the mountains of Pennsylvania to train while in grad school.
Here we go, hill training. It's gonna be 6 straight weeks of this. That is straight up. And it's rocky and gnarly. This is actually the course for the Rothrock 30K that I ran last year. I'm doing the whole course today, 18 miles. See how I hold up.
And in March of that year, I drove down to Frozen Head State Park in Tennessee about a week before the race, just to kind of get in the right mental frame of mind and to also explore some of the trails of the park before the race. When I pulled into the campground at Frozen Head in 2012, there was only one other person in the campground, and that person's name was Travis. And so he was the first person that I ever met related to this event, and we hit it off immediately. Really great guy. Travis and I ran really close together in the first couple of loops of this event, but eventually he had some trouble and fell back, whereas I did better and moved forward into the race. Ultimately, as the race progressed and he dropped out of it, he took on a role as my unofficial crew member. And so he basically jumped in to help feed me when I'd come into from the loops and help tend to my wounds and my blisters and things like that. If you watch the film, you'll see Travis is actually the one that's working on my feet in the actual documentary film. So he took on this role without me asking, without me barely knowing him. And that connection was instrumental to my success at the race. And it really showed me what kind of person he was. And so, incidentally, I did get to repay that favor. The very next year, I went back to the same event and I had a rough year, and Travis ended up making it all the way to the end. And so I quit early and became his unofficial crew. So it was sort of this like give and take, and that really solidified, I think, our friendship. The following year in 2014, I got a message from Travis saying, "Hey, you should really come to this race in Virginia that I do every year. I've been doing it for 14 years." And it's basically a reunion of a bunch of these guys that have all run this Barkley race. And I was thrilled. I loved the idea. And so in 2014, I flew to Virginia and I ran this race called the Mountain Masochist, 50-mile race through Virginia. And what made it so fun was all of the guys involved in this group are elite athletes, like really fast, insanely qualified runners. And I'm not in that league, but I still trained my butt off because I didn't want to slow these guys down, thinking that we were going to go out and run really hard. And what I came to discover is that's not the point of this run. In fact, we all gather in Virginia, he tells me, and we sandbag it. We run as slow as we possibly can to make the cutoffs and finish in the cutoff, but basically just to have 12 hours out in the woods to tell stories, laugh, and just be stupid. And it's so much fun. And the concept initially was confusing to me. I was like, "What? Wait, so you don't race? You don't run? You're not going for a certain time?" And it was like, "No, that's not what this is about. It's just about spending time with your friends in the woods." And after I participated in that Masochist race in 2014, I was absolutely hooked. And we make a whole weekend out of it. And we spend a whole day on Sunday just hanging out at campfires, and it's an absolute blast. So I've been going to this event ever since. I went in 2015 and 2016, 17, 18. And last year it was canceled. And so I've been racking up my finishes as well. But here's the kicker. Travis has 22 finishes at this race now. He started running them when he was 19. This was my sixth running. This was his 22nd. And so this past weekend, I flew to Virginia and participated in the Masochist again. Now, with that said, I did get some footage from this year's event, but not much. I was more focused on just catching up with Travis, so I did not get a lot of good footage. And most of the footage that you're going to see is actually from one of our other friends that was spectating, and she just took a bunch of video clips. So I'll just show you the video clips from the day. Most of the footage is just of us walking in and out of aid stations, so it's not very exciting. I'm going to play the footage here and just narrate through. It's not super exciting, but I thought that I'd share it anyway because most importantly, they changed the course this year, making it much more difficult. So this whole idea of, just kicking back and sandbagging at 12-hour pace is really hard to do now. You really have to train for this run now in order to make the cutoff. So yeah, I'm foreshadowing a little bit about how my day went, but you'll see in these video clips. So I'm going to stop talking and roll the footage.
All right, we are at the airport en route to Virginia to run through the woods for 50 miles. Welcome to Roanoke, Virginia. We're here just waiting for our bag, and then it's off into the woods.
Who's ready to finish 50 miles? That's not good. 15 seconds, guys.
So by this point here, the race had already started, but Travis was so busy talking to his friends that I had to remind him that we needed to actually get running. So we were in last place at the very start of the race. Here we are coming into the aid station, I think at mile 17 or something. And so far I was still doing okay, holding up considering my lack of training, but it was a really perfect day for the race. It's just a picture from the aid station. This is us coming in around mile 30, and you can see I'm already starting to drag a little bit behind Travis. I was really starting to hurt quite a bit. You can see it in my face too. I'm not doing so good. Hadn't really been talking all that much either. And then basically this is just footage from towards the end. I had let Travis get ahead of me, and you can see he's trotting in towards the finish line here at about 11:45 total time, and I'm nowhere in sight. I was about 3 minutes behind him. This is Travis finishing in 11:49, I believe, and then finally about 3 minutes later, 2 to 3 minutes later, I came struggling in, but I did squeak in under the 12-hour limit in 11:53. So it was a pretty rough day for me, but I'm really just glad that for most of the race we were able to hang together until the very end there. I ended up having to run the last 3 miles in sub 8-minute miles just to
catch back up because I lost about 15 minutes on Travis. So it was a really difficult last few miles, and you'll see this was, as soon as I crossed the line, I immediately went over and collapsed in the grass because I was so exhausted. But it was still a really good day. And this was our final picture from this year. All right, well, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed some of that. I know, despite some of my discomfort there at the end, that I actually really had a fantastic weekend. And I know this is kind of a silly video, but there's certainly those of you out there that prefer the videos I post that have to do with my adventures on 2 feet as opposed to on 2 wheels. So with that said, I got stickers now. So if you're interested in an on 2 feet sticker, leave me a comment and I'll pick one of you guys out and I'll give one of these away. So these are really high quality. I'm surprised actually at how good they are. These are the kind of stickers that you'll put on your pannier, you'll put on your laptop, that they're not going to peel off and start to fray from the edges. These are high quality vinyl stickers. So let me know if you want a sticker, and I'll do my best to get you one. So that's it for me. Take care, be safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video.